Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, The Intersection. This is our first ASP.NET web application. In this project, we will create an ASP.NET controls. We will be using Bootstrap and use a little bit of C# code. All of that using Microsoft Visual Studio 2022. So without any delay, let's start. Opening Visual Studio 2022, click on create a new project, and then make sure you're looking for an ASP.NET web application, and click or highlight the ASP.NET web application, click next, and then here I always start with naming the solution first. So let's name the solution ASP.NET controls, in the project let's call it web_01, and I'm saving everything in my C drive, in a folder called class work. Click create, make sure empty is highlighted, select web forms, and then click create. And first thing is we will have to get the Solution Explorer. Control-Alt-L, and here's the Solution Explorer, and I'm going to right click on the project name, not the solution name, project name, and add a new item, and that new item will be a web form. Make sure web is selected so you can get all the objects. Web form, and let's name it index.aspx. Click add. Once the web form is created, it will open in the source code. This is the source, this is the design, and this is a split between the design and the source. So this is your source, and I want to create, let's say, 4 objects for now. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I have 4 objects, and let's add the controls. Control-Alt-X gives us the toolbox. If you don't remember the shortcuts, you can click in view, and you cannot, the video is, let's do it this way. Let's make it like a little bit smaller here. And if you click in view, you see them all here. There's the Solution Explorer, and here is the property, and all of the menus that you need. All right here. If you don't remember the shortcuts, you can always get them through here. The toolbox, Control-Alt-X. All right, let's go back and stretch this, and let's start adding our labels first. You can do it 2 ways. You can drag your label here, and let me just close this for a second. Here's our first label, and then after our label, let's add a text box. Here's our text box. So we're going to have a label, and we're going to have a text box. Our first label for just alerting what the end user should put in it. So I can change the text here. Instead of label 1, let's put like first name. This is txt first name. Notice I'm using the camel naming style, which is label will be LBL first name. Now that's one way to create them. Now the other way to create them is we can do it on the GUI side, and I can just have the cursor right there and double click on the label and name it. Now I'm going to right click instead of right click, because if I right click you don't see the, or let me just make it smaller like this, so you can, when I do this, you can see the whole menu here. I'm going to go to the property, and then the name here, LBL, let's say last name, because I did the first name on the other one. And you can see label last name, and then the text, this should be read as last name. All right, so now if I show you this here, if I highlight this and go to the source, stretch this a little bit, let me close this. Same thing I did here, label. So you can see this is a lot easy if you just do it on the HTML page is a lot easier. So let me close this for a second. And here's my first label. And here's my second label. Now I need another text box. So I'm going to copy this and name this txt last name. Label start with LBL. The text box start with txt. I showed you how to add the label using the design, but I didn't show you how to add the text. So let me do the third one here. So here we go. I am going to add a label first, and I am going to name it. So I'm going to get F4. I'm going to get the property. Here's the property of the label, and I showed you this, but I'm going to do it again. LBL phone, and then here it's going to be reading for phone. And now I'm going to add the text box. So as I am here, I'm going to double click on the text box, and here's my text box. Now I am going to name it txt phone. If we go to the source, here's exactly what we did in the source, and this is how you do it on the design. Let's add one more. Let me just, since I have this like that, I'm just going to copy this and put it right here, and this should be label LBL email, and it should read email, and this is last name. Let's just put colon here, so it looks all great. Okay, now the form is missing still missing a label, a button. So let's add a div, and let's add our button. So we can do it on the design, or we do it here. So Control Alt X to get the tools, and then here's my button, and throw it right here. And now in my button here, we should name it btn submit, and that's what my form would look like. If I want to view it on the browser, I can right click and view it on the browser. Here's what it is, but we have to code it. Okay, so let's go back to our Visual Studio, and let's go to the source. Let's add one more object label, so we can display what we want to display inside this label. So this label that I'm going to create will not have any text. So here's our label, and let's remove the text from there, and let's give it a name, LBL result. And so here is our design. If I view it, I will not see this label at all unless I cascade it, but I don't want to cascade it. What I want to do now, I want to use Bootstrap. So the first thing, I'm going to add a container here. So here's my outside the form. I'm going to create a section. Let me close this so we can see it a little bit better. So this is my section. I'm going to take this form and tab it a little bit so you can see here's the section, and here's the section beginning of it, and here's the end of the section. Now Bootstrap has a class, that class called container. So I'm going to utilize that class called container. So I'm going to use the class. Now the only thing is the form doesn't use CSS class like the other object. You will see what I mean by that in a second. So CSS class, and then I'm going to go row, and I'm going to grid it in 3 columns. All right, and then now each label will have its own class. So I am going to come right here to this label, and maybe right in this, I'm going to add CSS class form label on each one of my labels. So I'm going to come right here, and these are from Bootstrap rules. Okay, and I'm going to come right here and do that, and I'm going to come right here and also add it here. And each, oops, not on the button has its own. That's only for labels. Okay, now each text box has what's so-called a class called form control. So each text box, here's my text box here. Let's just put them, oops, here's my text box. Let me just move this so you can all see them. On the label is form label, and I forgot this label that I did here. Okay, all labels will have the form label, and all text boxes, I made the font a little bit smaller so you can see from the beginning till the end here. And I have a button, so the button Bootstrap class is button, and then button primary is what it's gonna show as a bluish color. And let's create another button for clearing the label box. And instead of button 1, we are going to call it btn clear. So let's go to our browser, find our CDN for Bootstrap. Here it is, the official website. I'm going to come down here. We want to copy this link of the latest version available. I'm going to close my browser window and then come here and create our link and paste, and make sure that you also add the rel style sheet. Now when we view it in the browser, we should see all of these classes will take an effect, and let's see that. Now it looks a little bit better than what it was before. Okay, all of that through the Bootstrap. Now it says button. Let's change that. This one should be submit, and this should be clear. Let's save it, and now we can go back here, submit and clear. Now I'm going to show you how to extract the info that once added by the end user. Right now there is no code behind, none of these. To do this, we need to, let's go to the design. We need to code the submit button and the clear button. There's two ways to do it. One is to double click on the submit. Let's do that. That takes us here. Let me go back here and show you how to do the clear one. So if I go to the clear and do the property, let's do the property first because I can't go to it because the video is so short. Say this is the button. Oh, I left one of the text boxes without a name. This is the button clear. All right, and then let's go here, click on the events, and here is the click event. So if I double click, that also takes me to the clear button. But let me find out which text box I didn't name, because that might cause me a problem. All right, so let's see. This text box, we named it first name. This is last name. This is a phone. And here we go. This one I did not name it. So this one will be txt email. So it'll be easy to find it. Okay, that's an important thing. And so I won't be looking for it. Okay, so let's go back to our code behind page. That's the ASP.css, and this is the code behind page here. If I go back to the Explorer, Control-Alt-L, see, this is the index page, and this is the code behind page. That's what this page is. See, if I click on it, it takes me to the same place. So this is called code behind page. So here we go. This is the submit button. So I'm going to submit everything entered into these text boxes. I can do it in the long way like this, string, because you have to start with the data type first name, and then I can associate that first name with the txt first name dot text. So here I created the variable, declared the variable as a string, and here I assigned it. Or I can do it in one step. I can do a string last name and then assign it at the same time the txt last name. So you can do it either or. So one 2 lines or 1 line. And then I have a string phone, and then I'm going to assign that to txt phone, string email, and assign it txt email dot text. Now once I have declared them, I can now use them and display. So what I want to do is I want to display all of that stuff in the LBL I believe called it result. I don't know, I called it result 1. Okay, LBL result dot text. And then what I want to do is I want to extract the first name. I want to do the last name. Bear with me for a second. I will, and then I want to extract phone. I want to extract the email. Right. So I want to extract them. So here, the first thing first, I'm going to say name and concatenate that with the first name, and then maybe concatenate a break. So it'll be in the new line. And now I am going to concatenate the last name. So here we go. I did them all, and I concatenated them, and I created the spaces. Now let's see if it works. So I am here. I don't have view in the browser because I am in the code behind page. If I am in the HTML page, then I'll see the view in the browser. But how would you view it from here? How would you view this on your browser from here? You can click on debug, start without debugging, and that will take you to the browser. So if we put my name and I put my last name, got the D in my name here, and then if I put my number, and that's not my phone number, so don't call me, and my email at jones.com. Okay, if I click submit, I should see it on that here. Now I need to learn how to clear this when I click on the button clear. So let's do that. Back to our Visual Studio. So to code the clear button, remember all of these are inside this label result. So if I come here and do LBL result, I can do it 2 ways. I can do it string dot empty, or I can, of course, don't forget the semicolon, or I can do it this way. Both ways will work. So we can try them both ways. So here is this way only. So I'm going to come right here and submit. Here's my values. I don't have my first name. And here's submit. And then now if I click clear, cleared. If I go back here and use this style and comment this, and of course save always, I do refresh. Here's my first name, submit, and then here's a clear. So this is how you you create your first ASP.NET controls. I hope that you will enjoy this video, and make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get the new updates as I make them. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye bye now.